Hey everyone, okay, so today we're going to be doing a full face using one of my favorite foundations for a long time. It's so good, which is the Laura Mercier Real Flawless. So I'm going to do a look for you and let's just see where it takes us. Now the foundation itself is quite glowy. So the base you use under it kind of makes a really big difference. If you use quite a neutral or matte sort of moisturizer or primer, you're going to get a radiant finish, a natural finish to the foundation. If you use a very emollient one, it's going to be a very, very glass-like shiny finish. So all these products are mine, by the way. I purchased everything myself. So let's start with the Perfecting Primer, because this one isn't too shiny. And because my skin is oily, I don't want to have it too glowy. Although I do like, a radiance on the skin. I draw the line, certain things. So we're going to choose, or I'm going to choose shade 2C1. And let's see where it goes. Now, one of the best things about this foundation is the fact that it spits out the tiniest amount. So I'll see if I can show you here on my hand. Like a tiny drop. It's just a beautiful thing. So that would be enough to cover my entire face. But I realized that not everybody likes their skin to be that sheer. So I will use 2 pumps of this. I'll use 1 pump now, and then we'll build it up on the second pass. So that's still what's on the back of my hand. Excuse me, give my nose a little pick. I'm going to use my Goss F4 brush, which is perfect for foundation because it just blends everything in. I'm just going to start on one side. I probably could have gone slightly lighter than this, but you live and learn. So I'm going to buff this all over the skin. So I'm already thinking to myself that I actually do not want to do another pump. It's completely unnecessary for me because it will build up way too much coverage on my skin. So I'll use everything that's on the back of my hand because it's just going to be too much. It will be too heavy for me. I'm just going to buff this into the nose. So you can see with the primer that I used, the base has a natural finish to it and it's not overly shiny. But if you were to use an illuminating base, it really picks up that kind of glow to the skin. I mean, it's a pretty good match. I could have gone a little lighter. And even though the foundation is now completely dry, I'm still buffing it into the skin just to make sure that it's as flawless and blended as we can get. So because you use so little, it's gonna last you a really, really long time. Now I only received this today. I just ordered it last night. It came today, which is the Real Flawless Concealer. I had a quick go at it. It's very sheer. So the shade I'm gonna be using here is 2C1. So I'm gonna go in to this inner corner. And it's quite emollient and it does, blend. So I'm just going to go here as well. And we just want to blend this in. So I'm going to take my number E3 brush. Look at me promoting my own products for a change. And I'm just going to blend this in. And right here. And it has a really sheer finish. I tested this earlier on as a foundation and it was incredibly lightweight. It really was. It was really, really beautiful. So I'm just brightening up this inner corner and then just taking it over the rest of the eye, just so that the eye isn't floating in the background. And the same thing on the other side. This is why this brush is so good, because it just fits right in here and just gives a nice effect when you're blending in concealer. So we'll blend that in. making sure I hit the outside corners of my eye. Anything that's left, I'm just going to take it down the nose, down the sides. Generally speaking, when it comes to makeup, if this portion of the face is the most flawless, everything else looks more flawless. And it dries really, really quickly. So here's a little ditty. I'm just going to get my phone because I typed it in. The iconic tinted moisturizer by Laura Mercier is incredible. And it's been around for a very long time for good reason. Now, I'm going to use these two products here to complete this look, which is the liquid blush and the liquid bronzer. Both are fantastic. So you only get 15 mils of product here for about £28.50. Now the original tinted moisturizer is 50 mils and is about £42 or so. So in order to get 30 mils of this, it would cost you 57. They're great products, but the price point is a massive fail because it doesn't make any sense. You might as well just buy another tinted moisturizer in a deeper shade and you get a lot more product. So the shade I'm going to use for the bronzer is Sunbeam. And I'm just going to spread it onto the back of my hand and I'm going to just dab it along the outside corners of my cheek and across the nose. Then I'm going to take my same brush I use for foundation and I'm just going to start to buff this in just to add a little bit of bronze going into the eye contour on the outside corner. Buffing it in, hitting that contour here of the eye. Not trying to contour, just trying to add a small amount of depth to the skin. It's a very natural look, so let's add a touch more. And I'll go directly in with the brush this time and just build up that outside corner and going across the forehead, blending it in and across the bridge of the nose and down the sides and hitting the outside corners of the eyes. It just adds a small amount of depth to the skin. It's a beautiful product. It just should have been 30 mils. It was such a mistake to do that. I'm going to use pomegranate now for colour. I'm a really big fan of using creams and liquids. I just think it's just a great effect to the skin. This is pomegranate here, which is really quite pretty. So I'm going to hit the tops of my cheekbones. I'm obviously going to hit across my nose and just above the eyebrow, and we'll see where that takes us. I'm going to blend this in with the F2 brush and I'm just going to lightly just buff this in. Again, because of the price point of these and the nature of the product, which isn't a very heavily pigmented product, which isn't a bad thing at all, but because of that kind of nature, you do tend to sometimes have to build up colour, and that's where the price point is a little bit of a fail because you're not getting a lot of product. 15 mils of a liquid, it's not a massive amount. We'll use just a pinch more, and I really mean a pinch. I mean that little dot there, but I just want to take this a little bit more across the bridge of the nose, whatever's left. Just on the cheekbone, I'm trying to create a bronzy look, which I think I've achieved here quite nicely. That's a lovely finish. So, let me just have a little look at my face. Do you know what? I think that looks really nice, but I'm just going to add, actually I'm going to add a slightly lighter concealer. I just want to bring out the inner corners of the inner portion of my face a little bit more. So I'm going to be using just a slightly lighter tone and I'm just going to dot it just around this kind of inner portion. because the rest of the face is quite bronzed, I just think that by doing this, it will actually look quite pretty, I hope. So I'm going to take a different brush. This one hasn't been released yet. It's still in prototype phase. It's this small little rounded brush, but it buffs things in really, really well. Now this is only going to make a subtle difference, but it's just going to just really subtly lift this inner portion of the face. Because to me, in the mirror here, and it may look, I've got a little itchy nose. In the mirror here, it was looking slightly too bronzed. So just by lifting this inner portion just a little bit, it just takes some of that away. So this is the finish of all the products. We haven't used any powder. And that's the finish. So it's pretty natural. There's a little bit of shine going on here, but it's quite beautiful. So what I'm going to do is we'll take down the shine totally in the center. So I'll be using Laura Mercier again, and this is obviously the iconic translucent powder. And we'll just take down the shine just throughout the T-zone, just to see if it makes a difference in terms of finish and how it looks. Oh, I didn't blend that very well. So we'll just take the shine down just in the center. And there we go. So that's just, so the shine is still left a little bit around the outside perimeter. And that's quite pretty. I mean, it's nice. And now let's do the whole thing completely matte. So I'm going to matte out every single thing. And you can see that as I start to matte this out, the color from the blusher that we used, it starts to dissipate and almost pretty much disappears, which is often why when you're using creams and you powder, you then will have to go back in and use a blusher just to add a bit more color in. And that is a completely matte version of it. So that's the finish with it completely matte. Which one do you prefer? I don't know. I think I like the first one, but this one's really nice. I think it just needs a touch of setting spray just to break up that kind of quite stark matte look. So I'm just going to use a little setting spray. So we'll break free of tradition here with using Laura Mercier. And I'm just going to use a touch of the Tatcha setting spray. That was about 80 quid's worth because it's so expensive, this stuff. And let's just let that set. Now I like that finish. It's still matte, but there is more of a sheen to it. It pretty much looks like before I touched it. Now, of course, this makeup is freshly applied to my skin. I have very oily skin. Do not expect it for me to look like this for very long. This will start to get shiny very, very quickly. Makeup upkeep for me with a look like this would be me having to touch up the T-zone area about every hour and a half or so, because that's just the nature of having very oily skin. But I think this foundation is truly beautiful. There's a lot of product on my skin. I would have used way less in real life, but this is a more realistic kind of look that most women, I think, would probably like to achieve. I just think this foundation is so beautiful. I really do. A Real Skin foundation was used, and then we used the liquid bronzer and of course the liquid blusher, which are beautiful but outrageously expensive when you consider the volume. We used two concealers here, and we used the perfecting primer. And we used the loose powder. That's it. Oh, the sun's coming in. I'm so sorry. But there you go. That is the look, my friends. Very pretty. Very... Oh, that's good. That's a really pretty look. It's too much for me in day-to-day life. Wouldn't go out like this, I wouldn't feel comfortable. But it's very pretty, I can see even better now. I just think it's great. I just think it's a really, really beautiful look, and I think the foundation is just amazing. I'll leave all the links in the description because I'm remembering to do that now. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think. I think it's really, really pretty. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.